of paying attention to this vital organ and just what lifestyle changes we need to make to boost our wellness. Number two, how do you also respond to an emergency situation in the event someone suffers from a heart attack? Well, Henry Akunda is actually from St. John's Ambulance, not new to the show. He was here with us a couple of weeks ago. We want to welcome him back. Karibu sana, Henry. And of course, one of our favorite nutritionists, Betty Odere, is here with us. Betty, welcome back.
How are you? And today you misspelled my name, Okere.
Yes. Okere, okay, yes. Thank you so much for that, Betty. So starting off with our first question, Betty Okere, let's start off with what are cardiovascular diseases?
So in a layman's language, cardiovascular diseases basically refers to the diseases of the blood vessels and the heart. So they both affect the blood vessels and the heart. And for that reason, then your heart is not able to function at optimum. Maybe you start having issues with breathing. Maybe you're talking about issues about heart attack, heart failure. You know, basically your heart is not able to pump properly. And you see the heart and the blood vessels are actually interlinked. Yes.
Okay. What are some of the common diseases that you come across in your practice, Henry? Or complications that people have?
Yeah, concerning the heart. Number one is all about heart attack, which is part of the key thing. We also have heart failures, which affects the heart. We also have something called angina, which is also part of things that affect the heart mostly. In which you normally say heart attack is something that you need to act fast as possible, so that at least to reduce death, which is always or maybe mostly imminent if one has some heart attack.
Okay.
Yes.
We've got these terminologies that we always hear, and people actually use these terms interchangeably. When you talk about having a stroke, a heart attack, heart failure, key difference between those, or are they actually pretty much the same?
They're actually not the same. When we talk about heart attack, it's usually a sudden obstruction of blood supply to the heart muscle. So the heart, part of the heart muscle does not get sufficient oxygen because of either ruptured blood vessels, or key thing is always due to a blockage. And that blockage being caused by fatty deposits in our coronary artery. And when you talk about stroke, now it happens to the brain. Stroke is all about the brain. So when there's an obstruction or a ruptured blood vessels to the brain, now that one we call it a stroke. Yes, in which most of the stroke, 85%, is usually an obstruction into the part of the brain.
Right.
We talk about cardiac arrest is now that the heart has stopped beating. Yes.
Okay.
And we talk about aspect of heart failure. It's either right heart failure or right heart failure, which means this part of the heart which does not meet the demand.
And when you talk about heart failure, is it like a progressive thing? Because I would imagine it's over time that you're actually that the failure is happening through.
Yes, it's a periodic thing. That initially you start by feeling some pain in the chest, then after some point it eases up. So it's just part of the heart muscle that is usually going some changes here and there. And whenever you have that, you really need to see your doctor, which is key thing.
Okay. Betty, you are always advocating, obviously, for better lifestyle and lifestyle changes, rather. Let's talk a little bit about how our lifestyle is contributing to what we are seeing today in terms of heart issues.
When he was talking about heart attack, and he was talking about the narrowing of the coronary arteries, and I'm just thinking, most of the times, some of these heart conditions will be very, very silent. Very, very silent. We just need to, you know, always be on the lookout and always make sure that our lifestyle corresponds with a healthy heart. Because when we have excess cholesterol in our body, for example, then it leads to build up in your arterial walls. So instead of being a normal, clear hole through which blood can pass, it starts building and narrows the artery. So the space through which blood is supposed to pass then becomes very small. What does that lead to? Then it leads to high blood pressure. And if that space becomes so small and the plaque is so much that it then stops flow of blood to other parts of the heart, then you start suffering either stroke, heart attack, and you know, you can easily make your heart not function the way it should, and it could be fatal and lead to death.
Okay.
In addition to that,
go ahead.
Say, whenever a heart vessel, that the coronary, it narrows,
Yeah.
there's always a warning sign that when it narrows, whenever you do any activity,
Right.
you start feeling pain on the chest. And when you rest, the pain
pain
goes away, disappears. So that is a warning sign,
That's
which
a warning
she says is silent. So that is a warning sign, which
Yeah.
means there's some narrowing on the coronary artery. So any exercise that you do, even
Yeah.
if walking upstairs up to 7th floor, you start feeling pain, now that's a sign.
Okay.
You need to check it out.
I've actually even seen, by the way, some autopsies done, and the physician would actually be removing, like you said, plaque out of people's arteries.
Yes.
Like literally, it's mass that's
Yes.
stuck in
Yes.
between your arteries.
It's like you
Your
have
vessels.
cement that has been put into
that's
your
nasty.
vessel.
And all this lifestyle.
Yes, lifestyle. And look at it this way. We don't have so many people trying to engage in physical activity. Leave alone, you see, when we talk about exercise, most people imagine that I need to go to the, register in a gym, get to a swimming club and all that. That's all good. But people have stopped engaging in physical exercises.
Right.
People no longer walk. People are in buses and private cars, and they get onto the office. They don't use the stairs. They take the lifts, get to the desk, sit down, you know, and they repeat the same in reverse when they're going home.
Right.
So we are slowly just becoming couch potatoes, and we're not doing much.
Yeah.
And that is not good for our heart, because the circulation of that lipid, which we're calling the cholesterol, throughout your system then is hampered. And we're also talking about people, how people eat.
Yeah.
All right. Now we want convenience,
Yes.
and we're all going for the fast foods, the deep fried stuff, which is very high in trans fats, and that is getting deposited in our coronary arteries. And even if people say, okay, fine, I do not do the junk, how about our excess intake of calories, our excess
carbs,
intake of the carbs?
Yeah.
And then that excess calorie stays in your body, and your body has to figure out what to do with it.
Right.
And one of the functions is to create triglycerides, which is a subset of the cholesterol fats.
Yeah.
And that still adds to the plaque that you have in your arteries.
Wow.
So we're sitting on a time bomb. We have not, that's just food. We have not even touched on the fact that there is too much smoking, and that affects the flexibility and the contraction and relaxation of the blood vessels, which in turn makes the heart have a very difficult job of trying to pump out blood, because now the vessels are not contracting and expanding.
So you're overworking your heart.
You're overworking your heart.
We get a lot of questions or inquiries, by the way, about high blood pressure. You actually did mention it. Lots of questions about, okay, what really does cause it and how to actually maintain it. And when you talk about high blood pressure, what ideally is someone actually experiencing?
So when you're talking about high blood pressure, or what we call hypertension, we're talking about that excess force that is exerted on your blood vessels by the blood. All right. So ideally, we say a good blood pressure should be about 120/80. 130/90 is acceptable.
Yeah.
And if you already know you have any chronic condition, diabetes, you have cancer, or you already have a high blood pressure, all right, we expect it to be about 140/90. Anything above that then becomes a risk to your health. And what are we saying are some of the things that could actually lead to this high blood pressure? If somebody has diabetes, for example, they're already at risk of having high blood pressure. Why? Because this blood that is supposed to flow through the blood vessels is a bit thick. Look at a fluid that has sugar versus one that doesn't have. Which one requires more energy when you're talking about friction? I think that used to be physics. I've seen so about them. But it requires more pressure. Then that presence of the sugar encourages the deposits of the plaque onto your blood vessels. So it doesn't flow out freely, and that also contributes to your pressure going up. Then there is that removal of water, because then your blood vessels are experiencing what we call osmosis. Water moves from a place of high concentration to low concentration. So it's drawing away water from your system, and that makes your blood vessels be very tight, fragile, and almost very brittle. Okay? So then you're making your heart pump, as we had said earlier, pump much harder, and that increases the pressure of blood. But there's also weight
as an issue.
People who have weight, there's a lot of fat deposited around your vital organs, and one of those vital organs is the heart. If you have ever slaughtered a chicken or goat and it was a big one, just look at the organs and how fat covers those organs. Practically, that's what happens in our bodies.
Oh man.
Yes.
We're going to talk a little bit about how to maintain, or rather manage your high blood pressure, if at all you do have that. But getting back to you, Henry, real quick in regards to emergency situations, you'd find that, by the way, someone will suffer from a heart attack, but perhaps we have no idea. In fact, how do you even go about recognizing if someone is having a heart attack?
All right. So in recognition of a heart attack, there's always one key feature, which is a central chest pain.
Okay.
Whereby you have a crushing chest pain. There's pain on the chest. And that pain usually radiates to the neck. It goes to one arm, the jaw, or both arms. So that is the kind of pain. Or also feel some abdominal discomfort, up of the abdominal discomfort. They'll start to feel dizzy, sweaty, their skin will turn pale, and also grayish or bluish tint, which we normally call it cyanosis, and also difficult in breathing, which is a key thing. And on the last, they'll have a sudden faintness. So at some point, even if someone faint, as a medic, when you arrive, we'll normally want to ask, what was the history before this person faints? So it could be one of the key history. So we should not assume a faint is usually a faint. You need to get the history. And on the last aspect, they'll have a sense of impending doom. Like a feeling of death is going to be imminent, because they'll be in distress and anxiety.
And how long does the average time take for that attack to take place before now it actually turns fatal?
It depends. Because we normally say once you recognize it, make sure you call for help fast before doing any other thing.
Because it can happen in a matter of minutes.
Immediately, within minutes, seconds, one can be down. But there's always that pain. It doesn't give you that much leeway time to play with it. So it's one of the cases, we normally call it a hurry cases. So you need to make sure you do it very fast in terms of recognizing. Speaking about emergency response, the big question is, what can you actually do if you're, out and about, or maybe you're at home and someone does suffer from a heart attack? You may actually see this, like he said, probably hand on chest, probably running out of breath. Can you recognize a heart attack when you see it? And most importantly, what do you do about it? Well, thank God Henry is actually here to explain some of this to us. He is actually accredited by the American Heart Association. So please tell us, what should someone do? Number one, we know, is keep calm. Yes, don't panic.
Don't panic.
You just have to keep calm.
Yes, but go ahead. Feel free. Demonstrate for us.
All right, good. I'll use this particular individual here.
You okay?
We normally call it Mr. Brown for us.
Is he called Mr. Brown?
Yeah, I nicknamed him that way. So this one is Brown. So once you spotted someone is having a pain on the chest, they'll always kneel down, maybe collapse immediately. Once they collapse, you need to recognize. Try to see if they are there's always responsive. Hello, hey, can you hear me? Talk to them. And then you need to check their pulse simultaneously as you look and observe the rise and falling of the chest for not more than 10 seconds. So once you notice their heart is not beating, and maybe they have no breath, then you need to immediately activate emergency medical services. You need to follow what you call the chain of survival. That is, start for help first. So once you call for help, you need to start giving chest compression. Make sure you kneel down, put one heel of your hand at the center of the chest, the other one very nicely, and you start to push in, push fast, and also you push in depth. So up to 30 chest compressions while you're pushing hard and you're pushing fast. So until you reach 30 chest compressions, then you come up, open the airway, give breath, because you're doing the work of the heart and the work of the chest. And Henry, you give 2 breaths.
As you do that, let's also pick up a call as you continue to demonstrate. Good morning, Kipchichir. Have we lost him? Okay, we've lost him. So you've talked about 30 compressions. 30
chest compression, doing the work of the heart, because the organ has stopped. So for us to perfuse all the organs, the brain, the heart itself, and the lungs, you need to give 30 chest compression to push up blood, and then give 2 oxygens, that is mouth to mouth, give 2 oxygen until you see the slightly rise and falling off the chest. So that is key. And once the medics people arrive, they'll come with something known as an AED. It's automated external defibrillator. This is for human use, and it's advised
Yeah.
to have it in any institution or even at home.
Right. You
Because-
actually surprised me earlier
Yes.
on, because you actually told me that just the same way you have a fire extinguisher
Yes.
in every, or that is required to be in every establishment,
Sure.
we are supposed to all have an AED.
Very true.
Wow.
So
I
an
didn't know
AED,
that.
just in case of any collapse. So this one helps you to perform the work of the heart. It has some shock, so that it can be able to shock the heart, because the heart will be able to have a rhythm which is not equivalent to pump blood out.
Right.
So it stops that rhythm and restart it to a normal good rhythm. So that is the work of this AED. So
Okay.
it's for the manual.
All right.
I can.
As you continue with that for 1 second, let's just get Kipchirchir's on the line. Good morning.
Good morning, Jane.
Yes, go ahead.
Yes, I'm watching the program.
Sorry, please speak up.
I'm watching the program
Yes.
that is going on at the moment. Now,
Yes, go ahead.
I was asking, my father was diagnosed about the same problem as times back in headache. And he was checked up. Now, they just something called a pacemaker on the left side of the heart.
Yes. Okay, I'm going to ask you to speak up a little bit more. Kindly
they
speak.
placed something called a pacemaker.
A pacemaker.
Yeah, a
Okay.
pacemaker.
Okay. Yes.
The left side of his heart. So I was asking, I was asking about the precaution that he can take.
Oh, right. Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for that. We appreciate you calling in, Asante Sana. We'll be taking a look at that shortly. I think, Henry, you actually had Kipchirchir's question about, you know, what precaution to take when someone does have a pacemaker. I don't know if you'd be able to actually contribute to that, but please carry on as we answer his question shortly.
All right, good.
Yeah.
So these are real life AED,
Okay.
automated external defibrillator.
Yeah.
You just need to understand how it just works, and you just need to follow instruction. But here you have a trainer
Yes.
to access the same. So this is normally what we do in terms of training. So
Okay.
number one key thing, whenever you have an AED, it's first to switch it on. So once it arrives with the medic, you
Yeah.
switch it on
Adult
and
patient.
it speaks.
Yes.
If the patient
You just need
is
to
a
follow
child,
instructions.
Press the child button.
We'll just follow the instructions.
Remove clothing from the patient's chest.
So as it says,
Remove
Yeah.
packet and apply pads onto patient's bare skin.
so you apply the
Apply
as
pads
shown on
as
the
shown
pads.
in the pictures. Remove packet and apply pads onto patient's bare skin.
So you just place it nicely.
Press pads firmly on skin.
Make sure it forms.
Press pads firmly on skin. Do not touch the patient. Analyzing heart rhythm.
So no touching. It helps you to disappear.
Do not touch the patient. Analyzing heart rhythm. Shock advised. Do not touch the patient. Everyone clear.
Make sure no one touches the casualty because it's
Press
shock.
the flashing shock button.
And then you press the shock button as
Right.
advised.
Press the shock. Shock delivered.
So it shocks.
Begin CPR.
Then you continue CPR. So it just guides you.
Right.
Yes. So the importance of this, it guides you
Yes.
to give CPR, to give shock, so that you can be able to restart the heart.
Wow, how important is it to actually have this piece of equipment? It
Yes.
is life-saving.
Life-saving, and you need to just to familiarize yourself with the equipment.
Yeah.
Like for this, it's always, so once it's on, make sure you have the battery on it.
Yeah.
Just for demonstration purposes.
Yeah,
Just put a battery
yeah,
on it,
and you're good to go.
and you're good to go, and you just need to follow
The instruction.
basic instructions.
So
Yes.
the issue is that we are not compliant, obviously, because we do not invest in that.
Self-test. Press
Yes.
the red shock button.
All right, I
System
understand
ready.
Tom from Eldoret is even on the line. Good morning, Tom.
Powering down.
I'm fine.
Yes, go ahead. Do you have a question or a comment concerning our discussion this morning?
I've got a question.
Yes. Go ahead.
Oh, my problem is my heart sometimes pumps very quickly when I'm walking. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
All
So
right.
Yeah.
All
So
right.
it-
Keep,
yes.
Stick with us. We'll definitely answer that. So, Betty, listen to that. He actually says that when he's walking, he tends to notice that his heart beats very fast. You actually did mention that.
And one thing I'll ask the viewer is, so your heart beats very fast. What else is there?
Yeah.
Do you notice that you have excess weight? Are you struggling to walk? Are you having breathlessness?
Yeah.
You know, do you think you feel you're heavy? You know, those are some of the things that want to look at. If then they also come from a family that has high blood pressure, then they want to ask themselves, how often do I test for my blood pressure? Do I really even know what my blood pressure is?
Yeah.
And even if you in your family you do not have high blood pressure issues, maybe once annually are you testing for your cholesterol levels just to see what it is? Yeah. And what sort of, do they have activities that they do? Do they have physical exercises that they engage in?
Yes.
So really it is not like we'll not tell him that, you know what, you have a heart problem or all that. They have to go through a series of tests and just investigations to find out.
Okay. All right, Ken from Nakuru is on the line. Nakuru is watching. Good morning, Ken. Oh, we seem to have lost Ken. Okay, hopefully he'll call us back. But for now, let's take a short commercial break. We want to ask you to continue to contribute to our ongoing discussion. We're talking about heart health, matters of the heart, literally. And of course, if you've got any questions for our team who are on set, we'll be happy to answer them as best as possible. But speaking about maintaining a healthy heart, it's all about lifestyle. We mentioned that before. So let's talk about the do's and the don'ts with Betty when we get back in terms of what you're eating. Keep it K24.